For those of you coming in, go ahead and give us a like, thumbs up, share it out. We'll give it a few minutes. I'm running a little late. I have got to order. I think I've ordered from them a long time ago, but I'm ordering some more seeds. They got a lot of heirloom seeds. When I was in trucking, I passed their location a couple times, but they get seeds from all over the world. People just sometimes send them seeds. Oh, I want to order that. I wanted a fig tree, y'all, and they got some figs. I don't know if they're the seeds or the actual tree they're now shipping. Let's see who's in. Okay, I don't know who's on, but hello. Oh. I'm going to go to the chat on the tablet so I can see who's in here. All right, I don't know who's in, but thanks for giving us a thumbs up and a like. Oh, Mashy. Probably Ashy. I think my neighbor's dogs is out. They like to bark a lot. They're little dogs. One of them, he bark and then he come and let me pet him. He's so weird. Like, bro, you weird. I'm going to talk to you in a few minutes, and I don't know if you're just watching, but we'll get into it. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes, and then I'm just going to get into it, and then it will upload, and then people come in, they come in. If they don't, they don't. And I can't see if there was anything on the chat. No, nobody chatted yet. Okay. We'll give it a, what time is it, 4? We'll give it to like a couple more minutes, and then I'll get into the subject. Something I kind of dealt with on my Christian channel, so I know that people are struggling with some stuff, especially right now, and I figured let's talk about it. It was just what was on my mind today. Welcome whoever else came in. Okay, that's some big asparagus, y'all. Look at that asparagus. Some big asparagus. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes, and then I'll get into the subject. Welcome to the channel. Give it a like, thumbs up, share it out. We're going to get into it here in a minute. I ain't going to keep y'all too long. I'm going to be on here unless we get a conversation going. Unless we get a conversation. Oh, they got some basil. I might order that. Or some cinnamon basil. Let's see, 410. Okay, we're about 410. All right, so I'm just going to get into it. If people join in, they join in. So my Christian group, I noticed that a lot of people are struggling right now. And when I say struggling, I'm talking about they're struggling mentally. They're struggling spiritually. They're struggling emotionally. Because we just went through 2 years of COVID, and COVID is not gone. It's not gone. And now we have a war over in Ukraine where technology wasn't what it used to be, like back in the day, or what it is today. In the back of the day, we would hear about wars and we might get snapshots, pictures, but we didn't have the instant, full-blown capability to see everything like we do now. And news didn't on its own level didn't go as graphic as it is now. I remember 9/11. I remember when I first turned on the TV, we actually saw the people jumping from the building because the flames were so hot and going down almost to hitting the ground. And then news felt it was so overwhelming. They said, you know what, we can't show these scenes because it's too graphic. But by then, we felt it. We felt it all around the U.S. People felt it in the world, and they felt it emotionally. You felt it. Um, it was a lot. It was a lot to see. And now we turn on our nightly news, and if you're somebody who's not just about yourself, because we do have groups of people who they go and play video games, smoke weed, and don't think nothing but about themselves. I mean, that's just the nature of some of the beast. And a lot of the younger folks, no offense to y'all, but that is who y'all are. There's some in my generation who are just as warped and whacked out as well, but that's what they do. So what's going on right now, they don't care about, and sometimes that might be their coping mechanisms, but most of the time they don't even care about. You ask them, what war? What are you talking about? What's going on? They just stay oblivious, which is a whole bigger problem, right? Because that you're just oblivious to life that's going on around you, which means you are very self-centered into just yourself. But for those of us who are alert, who are aware, who are watching this unfold, some of you are struggling emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Not only that, how many people have you lost during the time of COVID? People that you know who died or may even be sick right now. People who may be even still struggling to recuperate from COVID, because some people have long-term lasting effects and they're not able to work and do the things they used to do. I watched a lady the other night that said just walking 5 blocks was a new thing for her, which used to be nothing for her, but just to be able to walk up to 5 blocks is like she's come this long way because she can barely breathe. All the things COVID did some massive damages and other damages. We're not even talking about it. I have a friend of mine right now. I think her son is recuperating from COVID, and she said my son almost died from it, and he still has, I think, some side effects from it. So we have that on the table. And now to add to all of that, some of you are dealing with the emotions of the war that's happening in Ukraine. And I think there's some wisdom in being aware of it. Actually, I know there's wisdom in being aware of it because we don't know how is that going to fully impact us here in the U.S. How is it going to impact the world? Are we looking at being in a world war? Are we looking at World War III? We're watching and we feel sorry for a group of people that are being bombed by somebody, some cray-cray dude. For what purpose? For what end game? For what goal? There is a goal. There is an end game. We may not know all of what it is, but you can best believe this man is not just doing this for his health. There is an agenda that he has. He's not just flexing his muscle. There's an agenda and there's a reason for it. He might not be telling you what it is, but there is an agenda. I have my own ideas of what I think it could be, and I could be totally wrong, but there's an agenda. From a Christian perspective, we always have been a people that have a belief system which is biblical. The Bible tells us that our fight is not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities. It means the spiritual things behind people. So I also realize there's spirits behind the individual doing this, and they are not Christian spirits, they're demonic. But it's all happening for a reason and for a season in which we're in. But the problem is that most people trying to cope during this time, a lot of y'all are struggling. Some people are struggling on a mental level that's just crazy. You don't know whether to go right. You don't know whether to go left. You're just struggling. So I kind of just wanted to do this video today and kind of talk about it and lay some things out, because my ultimate thing is that if you need to talk to somebody, talk to somebody. Because sometimes it's necessary for you to lay on the table everything you're experiencing. Some of you may be experiencing fear. Some of you may experience sadness. Some of you are experiencing anger. You've got a rash of emotions going all over the place. Uncertainty, not only with just the war, what's going to happen to America? What's going to happen to you? What's going to happen to if you got family over there? You may be taking on quite a bit. I'm looking over here just in case there's anything in the chat. I don't know what people are really thinking. I don't know what you're struggling with. But I do know that people are struggling and they're scared on a lot of levels. I also know that people aren't probably prepared for what I think is going to eventually happen. I'm probably a lot more calm than most people um, are. I probably have a much more calm, laid back thing because of my Christian belief system. And because of that belief system, I know God is in control. I also know what I believe is coming next. This whole thing has been a season. We call it a season in Christianity. And it's a season that's supposed to end up towards a goal. For some of you, y'all can't even handle what's going on. And the sad part is, I would pray that God will show himself to you before much stronger major events are about to happen. And like I said, I could be very wrong. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on the timeline, but all the signs, everything that we know as Christians prophetically, we're here. We're at a point where everything is being orchestrated, is setting a stage, and we know what's coming. Now, how far we're going to be left in the rabbit trail, I cannot tell you, but I do know what's coming, and I know what the end game is and what the goal is. And really, it's a choice that mankind needs to make. He's going to choose one over the other, good versus evil. It's the age old situation. It's the tree in the garden. Will you obey and follow God, or will you choose to go ahead and hook up with Satan? It's just it. People can take that for what you want, but that's what it is. But during this time, so that you have the time to make those choices as to go right or to go left, if you need help during this time, please go get it. A lot of people are walking around in depression and sadness and all sorts of issues and mentally not handling this well. You're walking in fear. You've been burnt out on everything that's happened with COVID. And as I said, COVID is not over. You've dealt with a lot of death. I mean, a lot of death. A lot of people have. You've lost friends and loved ones, family members, whether due to COVID or anything else. The amount of death that happened in the last 2 years has been astronomically overwhelming. And most of us know someone who's either been sick and or died from COVID. On top of that, all of the precautions that we've had to take, now we're also looking at the financial repercussions, from fuel to food in the grocery store to all other items that are going up in costs. Some of you are looking at your financial situation, your housing situation, and you are overwhelmed. I get it. I had a friend of mine, she said, girl, be praying for my 2 friends that live over here by me. They got to find a new place to live. The landlord went up on the rent and they can't afford to live there anymore. I met a guy a few weeks ago, told me he's going to be moving up somewhere up in the northern area of Arizona and getting like a manufactured home because he can't afford to do the rents that are down here anymore. He's in trucking, so he's flexible. He'll be working closer to where he does his job now, the private owner he works for. There's a lot going on. People are making decisions about jobs where they might have made big money, but they weren't happy. They were miserable. COVID has, I believe, made us all step back and look in a mirror and see a reflection of ourselves. I love work from home. The company I work for now, I don't have any ill will. Actually, I like the company so far. It's a decent company. But I don't want to go back into an office environment. And that may be something that they may say, hey, you got to come back. And then I'm going to have to try to make some decisions as to what I need to do next because I love work from home. At my age now, it just works for me. And at some health issues, it works for me. So all of us are making decisions. We're making financial decisions. We're making job decisions. We're making house decisions. We're making health choice decisions. And now we got a war. It's become overwhelming. You're looking at your television set, you're seeing all of the madness going on in another country. You're looking at this dictator dude, and then you're looking at our country, and we used to be the baddest on the block. I hate to say we're really not that anymore. We really aren't. Everybody like America this, and we dusting our shoulders off like we're the bomb, we're the saviors of the world. There's a reason why Biden hasn't gone over there and put our troops in the middle of that madness. There's a reason why he's cautious about giving them some. Hey, welcome, famous. Yeah, I can hit on that too. There's a reason why he's not putting those planes, and we got a group of people. Oh, he's not strong enough to do this and that. No, he's walking in his best wisdom as he can. And I'm not saying I'm a fan of Biden or the Biden Harris group either, but I think it doesn't matter who is in there. I think it's a fine line you have to walk with the situation. But I also know, again, everything is happening for a reason. This individual famous just said, and the crime is going up around the country. Yes, it is. Everything that's happening right now, I'm gonna tell you. And actually, mine's sitting in the restroom because I was reading earlier. You can crack a Bible. You can go into a couple of different books. One is called Daniel. Another one is called Revelation. And then you can go look at the Gospel of Matthew, where Jesus talks about the things that were going to be coming. There's other books that will coincide, Ezekiel and some of the other ones, and even in the Psalms. There are things that are meant to happen and meant to come. Standard world, you don't get it. You're just like, oh, this is sad and it's horrible. Christians who aren't maybe the crazy evangelicals, and I'm not going to say all evangelical Christians, but the big group of them who are on political banters and bandwagons and legalism, put them in the background. But the Christians who are somewhat stable and have an understanding of biblical things, we know that there are some things that are about to take place because everything has just laid out. And scripturally, some of the things that are, well, a lot of the things that are happening, virtually all the things that are happening, are written there. It's going to unfold, and it gives us a roadmap of where it's going to go. Some of even us aren't handling this well. I like I said, I deal with a private group. They're not handling it well. Some are, some aren't. Some, this is overwhelming, and it's scary. It's scary because we don't know what's happening. In the background, could he hack our internet, knock all the internet out? Possibly. Latrice, welcome. Yes, baby. The Bible is truly fulfilling itself. Thank you. And we are living in the last days. And a lot of people don't. This channel, I'm Christian, and that wasn't the initial gear. But today I just felt a need to come on and talk to you and tell you that these things are happening for a reason. We are in a season, and everything that's happening, all you got to do is crack a Bible. Please feel free to. I don't sit here and try to tell people because I just read a scripture in a devotional, and it's in the book of Luke. It's I think it's chapter 24, verse 45. And what it is when Jesus comes back and he appears to the disciples, they thought he was a ghost. They're like, scared. They're scared. Now, he told them a lot of this stuff that's going to happen. It was in the Bible. But what was amazing to me when I read this in a devotional was it said he had to basically unlock their mind so that they could comprehend Scripture because they didn't understand it. So a lot of the people that watch this channel, a lot of them aren't Christian. They came in from trucking and other things. I got people who are Wiccan and Buddhist and all other sorts of religions that watch this. So I no longer try to force it because at first I was trying to explain it as though people would understand. And then I realized it's the Holy Spirit of God that has to do that. I can't. So all I can do is leave the breadcrumbs, and that's what I'm doing. I'm leaving breadcrumbs that hopefully you can pick those breadcrumbs up, and maybe this Holy Spirit of God will unction you and help unlock so that you can pick up a Bible and read and understand. I read the book of Revelations when I was 9, 10 years old. I did not have full comprehension, but I had enough comprehension to understand, I need to get a relationship with God because I don't want to be on the other side of this other group that's going to be left here. I don't want to be that. I didn't want to go to hell. I didn't want God's judgment. It said fear of the Lord is beginning of wisdom, and I got wisdom. And while I didn't fully understand, I understood enough. What I'm telling you is probably get enough. And if you need to talk to somebody, go talk to them. Because right now, people are overwhelmed. And the spirit things that are behind this, that has people committing suicide and doing all sorts of craziness because they are overwhelmed, they're scared, they're depressed, and they're not understanding the why behind it. Because our fight is not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities. There are spirits behind all of this. We are on a goal and we are in a season, and a stage is being set. And I can't sit here, as some ministers will tell you, and I am licensed minister, and they'll tell you all the good things and give you the rah-rah. You're the winner. You're going to be the best. You're going to have a multi-million-dollar business and a fat crib. And I'm not saying you're not. You might get that during this season. I can't say you will or you won't. But I think that the focus of the things going on is much bigger than the materialism of this world. I work for a company right now. Everybody, peace of mind, peace of mind. If you buy this, you'll have peace of mind. If you buy a brand new car, you'll have peace of mind. I want you to have peace of mind in the process. Why is peace of mind such a big push? I just watched a Christian video where the man used peace of mind in that because it's now the push. It's the verbiage. You see it in all sorts of advertisements because everybody's trying to tell you peace of mind by going through all this drama, madness, materialism. That's not going to get you your peace. It just isn't. And it's funny because people hollering peace, 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 situation out there, peace for your mind, peace, peace, peace. The Bible says there will be no peace. It won't. It's not going to happen. But the question is, how am I so calm when everything is unsure? I'm very calm. At first, when things started happening with COVID, my main thing, because I knew the season we were in, I'm like, Lord, please don't leave me here. If you rapture the church, don't leave me here, because I don't want to be here in this madness. I learned that from reading the Bible at 9, with your old Revelations. I don't want to be here in the midst of the madness or the craziness that will happen. I don't. And the problem is, if you guys don't see the handwriting on the wall, I don't know what to do because I can't. Only the Holy Spirit of God can show you that. We are in a season. Book of Revelation talks about it. Matthew and the Gospels talk about it. When Jesus is speaking and telling of something called the birth pains. We're here. Years ago, I did a sermon when I first came into ministry, and I told them, 9/11 happened. That was a clock ticking. It was a clock ticking down. I just kind of knew it. I can't explain how I knew. I knew it. What I didn't know that I would live, not that I was hoping to die, but I didn't know I'd be living through something I read about in my teen years. In the Word, it tells us that prophets long to see the days that we're living in because we are literally seeing Scripture fulfilled. We're seeing it unfold before our very eyes. It's my hope for those who watch who may not be Christian and may not have biblical understanding that you would just simply have a conversation with God and say, hey, I need you to show me you. Because I need to understand, because right now everything around me is crazy. It's different. It's weird. People are trying to find comfort in maybe selfies and feeling good and being on Facebook and talking about themselves or hooking up with some dude or some chick, vice versa, doing drugs, weed, whatever they want to do to try to find solace, drinking, eating, I'm fluffy, materialism, building up, buying new cars, houses, things. And you think that that is going to solve what's going on or take your mind off of what's going on. Maybe you're trying to climb the corporate ladder and the position you think is going to fulfill what's going on. And some of you can't even put your finger on why you feel a certain way or why it's like you can't touch it, but it's there. You can't identify it, but it's there. And you don't know the why behind it. You don't know why you're lonely. You don't know why you're scared. You know that all this is a mess and you don't know. because you have been inundated in the middle of a spiritual orchestration. It's like an orchestra. It's orchestrated. You've been inundated by what's spiritually being orchestrated, and you haven't chosen a side. Well, you may have chosen a side unknowingly. You need to wake up. How do I have peace in the middle of this? I have peace in the middle of this because I'm very aware of the season that we're in. I have peace in the middle of this because I'm confident I do have a relationship with God. Is it perfect? Probably not. But am I confident I'm one of his children? Yes, I am. I'm confident because he works on my behalf in ways I can't even begin to explain. How I even got here back to Arizona, leaving a trucking company, and how I was unctioned to leave, and then getting back here, and then shortly thereafter, the pandemic. Even to the place I live in right now, how he orchestrated it. This apartment was not actually for me. It was supposed to be given to a whole other person, and that person didn't show up. And the next thing I know, here it is. I'm sitting in an apartment I walked in at $665 a month. My rent only went up to $700 a month on a new rent change, where I have friends of mine paying $1,300, $1,400, and people having to move out of their homes because they cannot afford their rent. And I'm paying half the cost of what most people are. I've got a little patio where I can grow food. I had dreams to store food right around the early part of the pandemic. I was having dreams that there is going to be a food issue, and I'm starting to see it unfold. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't know when it was going to happen. I just know God was showing me stock food, and I was directed to tell people to do it. And I'm doing that. And I'm not telling you guys to go out and hoard. Please do not. But you need to be on a game of making sure you have sustenance in your house. I'm looking right now through the glasses, and the other night, me and a friend, we went to go have dinner. And it was so packed where we went. I'm because of COVID, I'm still cautious of it. So I like sitting out and open. I still follow a lot of the guidelines. If you do go out, sit outside on patios, go into where there's open air, like if they have windows open, things like that. If it's an enclosed space, it's not really me. I'm not the one. But you do need to be aware of the season we're in. And if I, as a Christian person, don't warn you, then there's blood on my hands. Whether you're Christian or not, I challenge you to read the Bible. And before you crack it, okay, even if you don't believe in what I believe in, okay, so you're supposed to be a God. Show me if you're really real. I challenge him. Why not? And I'm going to tell you, some way, somehow, I am a firm believer he will show himself to you. And then maybe, like the disciples, he will reach in and unlock your thinking so that you can then comprehend Scripture. Everything that's going on right now is scriptural. Not a doubt in my mind. It is not, and I hate to say, it's not going to get better. It is going to get worse. Because that's what's supposed to happen. The ultimate major event, if it happens the way I think it's going to happen, will be basically a disappearance of people. We call it the rapture. When that's going to happen, I don't know. Some of us have been, it's going to happen before the tribulation. Some people believe in mid-tribulation. Some, later in the tribulation. I don't know. I've always been a pre-tribulation rapture person, but I don't know. Honestly, truly, I don't know. What I will tell you is things aren't going to get better. They're going to most likely get worse. That war in Ukraine is so out of the blue, isn't it? Isn't it just out of the blue to you? To you. But spiritually to me, while I can see that it's supposed to be a very out of the blue thing. Putin doesn't want them to be part of NATO. Okay. They were talking about being part of NATO back during the Bush era. And I'm talking about the young Bush era. Not Daddy Bush, young Bush era. So if they were talking about it then, Why all of a sudden now do I need to go in and bomb this country? That country doesn't have no big military. They're teaching their civilians to try to fight in the streets, standing in front of, waving their hands in front of uh, tanks. They're not going to win that war, and they know it. So why now? There are some things that are going to be impacted by that. There's things we're finding out about Ukraine that we didn't know. I didn't know Ukraine was a major producer of fertilizer. If y'all don't understand what fertilizer does, it helps with food growth. I didn't know they were an agricultural country. How much did they outsource? To what countries? My understanding is I thought it's either the US or the world. They did over 75% of the fertilizer that came out. They had some kind of input in. Interesting, isn't it? I didn't know that. I didn't know Chernobyl was in Ukraine. I didn't know. I mean, I've heard of Chernobyl. I just never placed it in Ukraine. I knew it was over there in that area. I didn't know that. I didn't know they sat on major fuel reserves. I didn't know that either. So you go to ask the question, what might Putin want with that country? Agriculture is food. Fertilizer helps grow food. Fuel is needed worldwide for all sorts of reasons. And I don't know the other laundry list of things that country might produce. But if Russia gets control over it and you realize maybe you're in trouble because of the times we're in, the climate that we're in, and maybe you won't be able to produce maybe enough food for your country, you can go over there and manhandle another country and take what they got. I just read up on I had a dream about Daniel and the tribe of Dan, I believe it is. And the tribe of Dan was not a very good tribe out of the Hebrew or the Hebrew line, Jewish line. And my understanding is there was a city they took over, not with God's approval, because of what that city could produce. And they went in there and I believe they slaughtered all the people in order to take over what they had for themselves. I'm going to say this to you again. There's always an underlying goal. But the problem is sometimes we're trying to see it in our carnality. Carnality means flesh. In this physical realm and not understanding the spiritual stuff behind it. So what makes me calm as a Christian is the Lord has told me to prep in my mind. So I have canned goods and I have beans and rice. I have staples that would probably last me a year or longer. And so if I did it right. But a lot of you guys, some folks are going to be just like what I saw in Texas. You know, you would have thought they learned from the early part of the pandemic and had toilet paper and water and food supplies. And, you know, I'm not trying to say maybe at the level I'm at now because I was saving for me and my biological father in case there was an issue. And I'm not saying where I'm at now, but hope, you know, definitely be on your game. And what did we see? Well, the people was hungry and they didn't have food and back to not having toilet paper. And as soon as they could get on the roadway, the first thing they did was line up in front of fast food. You know, Pizza Hut, Dominoes, McDonald's. Because for some people, that's dinner. They don't know how to cook for themselves and not even heat up a can of beans. For some people, that's the solution. And unfortunately, as I said to my Christian folks, what happens if everything stops? What happens if I used to be in the trucking industry? The trucking industry, they told you if trucking stops or any kind of part of the trucking, planes, railroad stop, our world is in trouble. Our whole commerce system will be clink, 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 it'll break down. Because those things keep us running. There are certain industries, if they stop, there's a reason why when all that madness went on with the corruption of the banks and the housing market, there's a reason why the federal government gave them money to keep them going. Because if that stopped, we'd be in a world of hurt. But you have to understand that's the agenda and that's where things are going to go. We are in a season, and from Christians, we know, as who was on here? Latrice? Latrice said, we are in the end times. As Christians, we are in the end times. There's no ifs. A Chicago BBW, there's no ands, no buts. We are here. Now, you may just want to think, hey, it's all going to level out. It's all going to be okay. I just want y'all to look at the dominoes. Follow my bouncing ball. And I'm just going to start with the last 2 years. I won't go back to where it really started. Because if I go back to where I really saw it, I saw it with 9/11. But I'm just going to go with the last 2 years. So all of a sudden, and one of my Christian mothers from my church said, who but God can shut down the world in 3 days? That already is a sign in and of itself. All of a sudden, I'm going to say, when did I get home? About March 2019? No. March 2020. I'm told, go home, take your computer, because there's some kind of virus. We got an administration in there that was extra special and strange, and I believe God put them there. Some people might argue with me if you might be African American. Oh, no, the Bible tells us God places kings. But we have to understand he was placed there to also usher in certain things. And that's okay, because it all meant to happen. I was sitting back looking, and I'm going, this is some straight insanity. And really kind of started before the pandemic with that madness of that individual getting into office. But it was even before him. So I can't even just put it on him. But I can put he ushered in. Because then we started seeing things happen in the Christian realm. And then Christians got put on the forefront. Because here we are, we're supposed to be this one thing, but we have a sect of us who have aligned themselves with this individual. And they are off the chain. They're like legalistic and ritualistic, and all of a sudden, we become questionable to everybody, even if we're not that type of Christian. Even if we're truly just what I'm going to say, I'm a Christian, I love the Lord. I'm not a legalistic evangelical, and I really consider the legalistic evangelicals Pharisees, Sadducees type Christians, okay? So now we get put into this bucket, this bowl, and all Christians are basically bad because we've aligned ourselves with crazy. And I say we loosely, I'm talking about we in the sense of a sect of us who would be kind of your Pharisees, Sadducees of the day. Y'all know who those are. Please go research them. They weren't the friend of Jesus, I'm just going to say. And they were religious, they were legalistic, and they honestly, most of them didn't even have a relationship with God. They were just religious and legalistic, kind of like the ones that align themselves. But you saying you doing this for biblical reasons. I don't need to hold a sign. I mean, if God leads me that way, I guess that's what I would do. Because my mind is he's already in control, and our issues are much bigger than that. When he sent the disciples, he didn't send them to the politicians. Go ye therefore in all the world and basically teach and preach the gospel so that those people who are called will wake up and come on into the fold. It's a way for you to plant seeds and water and do what you have to do. There's a method to I hate to say the madness. So we end up getting the individual, then we end up in the pandemic. And the world shuts down. Not just the U.S. No. Everybody. Every country. Because of something coming out of China. The reason behind it, I don't know. Was it planned? Was it not planned? I think somebody was playing in the laboratory with something. And for what purposes, I don't know. And I think it got loose. But it doesn't matter. Everything happens for a reason. Timing. So now we move along the agenda. And on top of all the madness, we also have folks hanging off the Capitol building in America. Something we never thought we would see in our country. And in a country who used to be united, we are a house divided. And if y'all don't know the scripture on that, and it's also even a saying, a house divided against itself cannot stand. Jesus said that when talking about when he was accused of doing things in the power of Satan. He's like, a house divided basically against itself can't stand. This ain't him doing this. But there's also been political figures who use that same exact saying. And it's a very true statement. If you have a house divided against itself, it will fold. It cannot stand. And we're folding from the inside because we are at odds with one another. We're not on the same page. We're not unified. So the best way to tear a house down is from the inside. So we now have a pandemic. We have legalistic, Pharisee, Sadducee type supposed Christians. We have a political leader in our country who was really off the chain, lie, do a whole bunch of stuff. Then we have the whole switcheroo of this weird mindset politically that happened. Even overseas, they jumped on the bandwagon. We then have racist stuff that's taking place on a level that we've never seen, and the rugs are pulled back and things are exposed that we never thought we would see. And then we have an election that a whole bunch of folks done went left, right, in between, over and under. The morality of the country and the world has significantly changed. We have things now called AI that handles our jobs and life and where we go and computers. And then as things look to possibly be turning around in what people think is the pandemic, we now have a war out the crystal blue sky. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. In addition to all of this happening, we're now seeing inflation. We now have high fuel costs. And due to this war, what they're telling us is now it's going to impact our fuel. Now, the bigger part that may not dig deeper for you, and again, because I work transportation, this isn't only going to affect fuel when you go to the pump. It's going to affect fuel for the trucks getting your food to the grocery store, items and things, and other functioning costs. And so all that trickles down, and what can you afford? So in the scripture, it talks about folks being able to buy food and, well, not being able to buy food because the cost of things are going to go up, and what you're going to be able to get with your money is going to be very little. It's kind of like I talked on here before about just going to buy. I hadn't really been in a store because I've been ordering all my stuff through Instacart, and I've been buying more in bulk through Costco. So, and I had tons of frozen meats in my refrigerator from a turkey from a while back that I had in freezer, in gallon freezer bags. So I haven't been really too worried about buying anything in bulk. I mean, in meat in grocery stores. So when I went to go get my booster shot for the vaccine, I decided to walk around the grocery store that I had to be in to get my booster. And when I saw the price of meats, I was like, whoa. And that's prior to this war happening. But imagine what's coming. And I don't smile laughing in the sense of I'm happy this is happening. I smile because I know God is in control. And I smile because I know He's warned us. I smile because my trust is in Him. And I smile because I look at how He has provided in situations like this historically for his people. What does that mean? I'm going to give y'all some more stories to read. Please go read the story of Noah and the ark. It's a standard children's story, and if you went to church or have any semblance of it, you should have an idea, but please go read it. I went to go deal with a friend of mine's neighbor regarding some personal business, and he started trying to quote something that he said was biblical that was nowhere biblical ever. But, because people, you go off what you hear opposed to what you go and read. And that's what I tell you, go get it for yourself. Go read the story of Noah. I'm going to give you a summary of what it is, but go read that. Or go look at the story of Moses in the Exodus and how God protects his people. I'm not going to tell you it's going to be an easy road for his people, because it's not. That's the other issue. There are a lot of folks who are Christian and they want to act as though this is easy. It's not. That's why I said this. I'm coming to you because I got Christian folks who are having struggles. Mentally, emotionally, spiritual. I got several folks I know who are struggling with the season we're in. They're depressed. They're looking at it. They're scared. And it's like, whoa, this is bad times. And oh, this is bad, 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 bad. Well, I know it's bad times. It's like, okay, we're going to be all right. It's not going to be all right in the sense of I'm going to be good and I'm going to come out of this unscathed. They were in the desert eating manna. They weren't eating steak. They had to live in the desert. It's hot in the desert. It's not comfortable in the desert. When in Egypt and all the madness was happening, they had to put blood on the doorpost, hear all the madness going on outside. And all they could do was stay in that little sheltered place, and they could not come out until God said so. And every time he came at Pharaoh, Pharaoh came harder at them. So trust me, we're going to go through some things. The thing is that if we have our relationship right with the Lord, we're going to be able to go through those things. And it may not be as easy as we want it, because that's the other thing about us. We don't want Christians. We don't want to go through nothing. That's what I said. We want somebody to tell us how perfect we're going to be and how favored we're going to be. And I'm not saying Noah wasn't favored. I ain't saying Moses wasn't favored. I ain't saying the people of Egypt wasn't favored, but they went through some stuff. And it wasn't as simple as they thought. Right now, most people thought the church would be raptured out of here. They didn't think we would experience all of this, because that's how it's always been presented, that we would be unscathed, untouched, but we're going through. Because when we crack the word, Jesus told us, all these things are going to be happening. This is just the beginning of the birth pains. If you study how a woman gets pregnant, what she has to go through for 9 months and right before the baby is supposed to birth, that's the worst part. We here. And I would challenge you that if you have not prepared, you need to be prepared. Things are not going to get better. Again, prayerfully, I'm wrong. And things will just go back to the norm you want it to. In this most abnormal world. But morally, we are bankrupt. We are Sodom and Gomorrah. We are Babylon. And basically, the Bible tells us things would have to wax as bad as Sodom and Gomorrah. No offense, but we're here. And I'm saying no offense in the sense of, I know people want to do what they want to do and live in the life and lifestyles they want to live in. I was one of those people. I can't contradict the creator of the universe. This was not what he intended for us. It wasn't intended. And if we choose to go down that rabbit trail, there are repercussions. Just is what it is. Some people might not like what I say. I'm just telling facts. This ain't going to get better. It's about to get much worse. Do I think that all commerce could stop? Yes. Do I think that could affect our food supply? Yes. When will that happen? 6 months, a year? I don't know. Tomorrow? I don't know. I just know you better be prepared. And if you are someone who's doing McDonald's and Burger King and Pizza Hut and Dominoes and think that's it, if you think that the Lexus, the Mercedes, the Benz, the BMW is going to solve this, you think flossing up to your little place in a new car, you think getting a house or a new apartment or new furniture is going, you think the suit and the clothes and looking pretty to people, good luck with that. Get your spiritual house in order and make sure your physical house is able to withstand what most likely is coming next. You can sit in delusion all you want. Pandemic, toilet paper, water, beans, rice, gone for months. It took months before we could get even disinfectant, hand sanitizer, bleach. Folks had nothing in their house. I was really, like I said, I'm blown. It's like, who don't have toilet paper? Don't get me wrong, there's other ways to wipe your behind. There's other ways. You can get a wet towel and call it a butt towel. As my dad's friend said, he said when he went to the store and everything was going with toilet paper, he said, "Man, I grew up in the country." He said, "I got toilet paper that's delivered to my house every morning at 4 o'clock." He talking about the newspaper. He said, in worst case scenario, we used to have 3 corn on the cobs. And he talked about how they use each one to wipe their butt. That's not the most convenient, but there is methods. But again, a lot of this is who don't have toilet paper, who doesn't have food and beans and rice. And I had a biological father. You went in his house and you wouldn't have even known he was raised by Depression era our parents. No food, nothing. Some water, some orange juice, some cigarettes in the refrigerator. He might have had 2 cans of something up in the house and maybe some frozen, maybe 3 frozen TV dinners that had been in there over a year. He had no food in his house, no rice, no beans, no nothing, no staples. Am I telling you you're supposed to be a prepper with a bunker under your house? Now, if it gets that bad, to me it's like, okay, well, hey. Now, after the church is raptured out of here, y'all might want to get some bunkers. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. Y'all might, because it's going to be hell on earth at that point. It's already hellish. But this right here, what we've been through, it's look, y'all going to wish for them days if you get left behind here. You're going to hope they was here. You're going to wish for them. Because what's coming next, after the church is gone, that's why the only fear I had was, Lord, please don't leave me here. Look, please don't leave me here. Whatever we got to do. If I'm out of order in any way, look, pull my chain. Help me out. Because if you come for it, look, when you come for the church, make sure I'm out. Either take me from the casket to the sky or take me here to the sky. I do not want to be stuck, like Chuck, in the madness of what's coming after the church is gone. I know this is a different video for me and some people, but I felt today the need to say it because I know even within my Christian group, I got Christian folks, I can feel it stirring. Can you? I love you in the Lord. You know I love you. Not one, but several. I can feel a stirring. Can you? You mean to tell me from the prior administration to current, you didn't know what was coming? Or was it that we didn't want to face it? Because as Christians, we've gotten so used to this world the way it is. We just have. This has become comfort for us, and we want our blessings here. We want our blessings in the house, in the car, in the clothes, in the jobs, in the positions, and the titles. But this world is not our home. We just passing through. That's an old Black Baptist song, if I remember. I'm just passing through. We supposed to be doing what God said, reaching folk, passing through. But for some of people, this has become your heaven. This earth as it is right now is your heaven. This is you happy here. This existence, this flesh life. This is not the end game, y'all. Not this portion of earth. No, no, no. This right here is not it. This is not the end game. No ma'am, no sir. Not where it's at right now. That goes back to that scriptures. What I'm saying, I know for some people is heavy. Some of y'all is like, yeah, man. Some of you don't want to hear the Christian stuff, and I'm sorry for you. That's on you. This is who I am. But I'm telling you right now, we're in a season, and whatever you do, you don't need no okie dokie religion. And no, the Bible is not written to be the way you want it to be. You need to go in there and get on the page. And it's hard to get on the page because as humans, from the garden, from the planted seed in the garden, well, surely God doesn't want you. The deception of, I want to do it my way, I want it my way, and I want to be God, that was planted from the enemy, from Satan, from the beginning. So that's how mankind is. You want it your way. This is not Burger King. This is life. And it ties back. The only solution I see is written in the Bible. I don't know any other religion that can lay it out for me. It can explain the etchings in mountains where it shows this planet flooded. Noah and the ark. Somebody needs to help me with this. You can tell me something happened and these microorganisms and all this stuff came together and that's how mankind developed. That Bible gives me a miraculous way and lays out how mankind developed, the flood that happened on this planet, history of the Egyptians. It gives us a whole bunch. And one of the most controversial figures, Jesus. And a word that says, I change not. I have a standard. Now, people are trying to make it fit them and fit their life. I hope that works out for you. But when the church goes and is raptured out of here, if y'all have this technology or you remember this conversation, I'm going to tell you this. Don't take that mark. I don't care if your kid gonna get beheaded. You better let them know about Jesus and hope they get a relationship. Don't take that mark. You take that mark, you damn yourself to hell, and there is no second chance after that. Your second chance is the chance that you can say no to that mark because you chose not to go in the first round. You do not want to be here for the second round. So if y'all can get my message today, crack that Bible, read the book of Revelation, Ezekiel, Daniel. You might want to jump in Jeremiah, go read Matthew, and see if y'all can figure it out. And pray. And I'm going to say, not even figure it out. God, show me. I got a friend of mine's nephew right now. The boy had two of them actually, massive drama and issues. They're Latino, Theo, meaning uncle. I've got a relationship with God now. I get up every morning and thank him for my life. I'm trying to stay up out of family drama. I'm trying to walk a new way. God is having conversations with people individually without other people even speaking in their life because we don't have a lot of time. And those of us who do know God, we better be starting to share this gospel. So if by this medium I can share this, I'm sharing it. We don't have a lot of time. And all I can tell you is I don't know how much of this season we're going to go through. I do believe we're going to have a food issue. I've been having dreams since probably the early part of the pandemic. And dreams that are just crystal clear of food problems. If you have a capability to grow food, grow it. If you have a capability to buy seeds, buy them. Get dirt, start growing your stuff. Canned goods, if you don't can, start buying canned goods. You can get them on sale. They're still cheap enough. But things are going to go up and things are going to become more and more scarce. I don't show what I have, and I don't recommend you do that, especially if you're in the city. In the country, that wouldn't be a big deal. But in the city where people could probably locate you, find you, things are going to get stiff where folks will become so treacherous. When that person was mentioning about the crime going up, they'll become so treacherous. Let me just look at this. Who was that who said that? Famous Anonymous. The crime going up, crime gonna go up. People be bold enough to try to come up in your house and take what you got to eat. I was watching another guy, he's much bigger than I am on here, I think he's a lead farmer. And he said, your family gonna become your enemies. Co-workers, neighbors. They will. Because they want to get to what you got because they ain't gonna get no food. And for those of you, and I'm not a Christian that won't help somebody, but for those of you who are, I'm so Christian, I'm going to help a whole bunch, you're not going to be able to do that. You might be able to help one person or two. I got people who bless me, but I can't feed all of them. I've warned a lot of people that I love dearly, that I'm close to, stock food. And I'm not telling you to go into the grocery store and clean off the shelves. But if you buy every time you get paid $20 worth of canned goods as an extra, within a very short amount, if you see what I did in 6 months, it would blow your mind. And right now I'm sitting on probably, if I really average it out, probably well over a year worth of food up in this house. Beans and rice. You can go to some of the Mexican or international grocery store and buy big bags of beans. Store them, and you can go on here on YouTube and see how to store them. All you need is some bay leaves and in an air sealed container, food grade container. Some of them can store in bags for a while. I have a bag of whole rice over here. I probably got about 100 pounds of rice here in my house. One of them is sitting in an airtight bucket with bay leaves. Flour, there's ways to store it. Because you may have to end up making your own bread. And you need to have an alternate way to cook. Does that sound crazy? No, I'm just telling you how to get through the season. If we are still here, especially those who are the church. Mark the blood on the doorpost and stay your butt inside. That goes back to the Exodus. Go read that story. Y'all can research on here. You can Google. Some of y'all don't have Bibles. You can Google the Bible. You can Google stories. Go read about Moses and the Exodus and marking the blood on the doorpost and what they were supposed to do. He said, get dressed, be ready, eat that last meal, mark that blood, and don't come out that door until I tell you to. That's what they did. There are things about to happen. Best believe. And I know some of us probably who are telling you this may sound crazy. I'm sure Noah sounded crazy as hell. Absolutely. It had never rained on the planet. If y'all go and read the story, no, it had never rained. If you listen to how things happened and got moisturized, there was a mist that came up from the ground that kept things moist so things could grow. It had not rained until Noah. God tells Noah, build this ark. He builds the ark. He's ministering out there to people, telling them what's coming. And they's like, oh, I'm still going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to eat, drink, be married, be in all whatever immorality they were in that God didn't like. And he said, oh, okay. I want you to get these animals because I'm going to replenish the earth by what I have instead of just restarting all over. I'm going to replenish it. But I'm going to do it with you, your family, and these 2x2 animals. And all that happened. He set this big old ark up. The Bible says God sealed the door. Not Noah, God did. He closed the door. And I recently was sharing this with my Christian group. I believe he sealed the door because Noah would have been too soft-hearted and would have opened that door and tried to help everybody. Clawing on there, beating on stuff, trying to get in. You can't help everybody. People are going to make decisions. And when they make decisions, it's going to be some tough decisions for you to say, I can't help you. You know, I can't. Because you won't be able to do it. You won't be able to be MC Hammer and think you're going to help your whole community. He went bankrupt just if y'all know what happened. You may be able to bless a person. You may be able to bless a family. But you're not going to be able to help your whole family who decided to go their way and eat at Burger King and do all that craziness. You're not going to be able to do that. You're just not. If you are struggling, go talk to somebody. But more than anything, open up the Bible and read it. And I'm just recommending Revelation, Daniel, Matthew would be good. Those would be good starting points. And read about the end time events. And then talk to me and tell me if it does not tell you, or look at it, look as though we are in that time frame. For those who are my Christians who watch me, and you feeling that stirring, there's a reason for it. It's not for us to fear, but us to get into a trust mode and to believe God and to keep our relationship very close and to be very prayerful in the days that we're in and the days to come. My prayers for those people in Ukraine. I wouldn't have thought that this country that I never thought anything of would be the catalyst, which is also another thing that tells me what's in play here. The stage is set. The stage is set. The big part of the play is what we're waiting to see is the rapture of the church and the introduction of the Antichrist and the worldwide money system that's going to come. And it is going to come. We really don't have a choice. Money is already intermingled among all the countries anyway. They loan each other money. It's all intermingled. Our systems are dependent on each other. So for a global leader to come on the stage and say, let's resolve the issue. Let's resolve the issue. We're going to come up with a one world financial system. And I'm going to solve the food crisis. So we're all on the same page. How we're going to monitor every family and every individual's income spending is you guys are going to get a mark. That mark is going to represent your account and that you're part of the system. And if you don't do this because you want to be belligerent, then you cannot buy, you cannot sell, you can therefore not eat. Tell me we aren't here. Tell me we're not seeing the stage being set. I'm just saying, y'all. This is a different conversation. Some of y'all might like it, love it, or lump it. But I've been on here an hour. I pray that hopefully it helps somebody. Because we are in a season, and today I just felt this unction to get on here because I know people are struggling. Because a lot of you guys, if you aren't Christian, or even if you are maybe think you're Christian, you're overwhelmed and you don't know why. And it may be because of either where you're at in your Christian walk or the fact you know something's up, but you can't tap into it and you don't understand. And sometimes to get that understanding, you're welcome, famous. Sometimes to get that understanding means that you have to reach out to God and ask him to show you. And I believe I think it's Luke 24:45. I hope I'm giving the right passage. But it says he had to open up their understanding. The times we are in right now are biblical times. The Word of God says that there are prophets that long to see this day. That's why I think I'm more calm about it from where I saw it in the beginning. Because in the beginning I was like, this is madness. And it was because I don't like madness. But I realized it has to lead to madness because that's where everything is going. And when God brought me back into focus, I then understood. And when I saw how he orchestrated me back, real quick, I was working for a trucking company in Texarkana. I needed to get to a doctor. I could have went to the doctor in my dad's city. I was staying there in Lubbock. But something told me get home to Arizona. I got here, ended up having a bout with Bell's palsy, staying with some friends. Waiting for one job to open up, I ended up getting on with a little trucking company after hours. Massive racial stuff going on in there, but that's okay. It served its purpose. And I needed to go through that because God needed to show me some things. I go through that drama. While I'm there, I need to get my own apartment. I contact an old real estate person that I dealt with. Hey, I need an apartment. This is what I'm looking for. Shannon, I would have had the perfect apartment for you, but the owner's maintenance guy is getting that. I was like, okay. I'm sitting in a movie a couple days later. She texts me, can you move sooner than later? I was like, where's it at? She gives me the address. The address happens to be across the street from a former Bible study teacher. She had went to become a pastor, and she started a little church over here that's directly across the street from apartment. It's no longer the church anymore. It's owned by one of the colleges. But she started it right there. And my father actually had spoken at this little church of hers. I'm like, this is interesting. $665 a month. After I tell her yes, she says, oh, by the way, that's the apartment that was supposed to go to the maintenance man's sister. But she never showed up. Lord working on my behalf. Apartment totally remodeled, pretty clean. No issues. Little back patio where I can grow stuff off of. In walking distance of grocery stores because I have a car. Then I working at this crazy company, stressed out, irritated because they were just horrible, racist as hell, and ended up reconnecting with an associate of mine that worked at another company with me. She said, oh yeah, girl, I saw something here in town. I said, girl, I didn't know they had brought this business here. I work for them. You should come over. Referred me, boom, bam, boom, I'm here. I make more money than what I was making at the racist trucking company. But everything happened and I got back here to Arizona and then the pandemic. From the time I walked into the racist trucking company, they had set me up to where if I ever needed to work from home with a laptop. I ended up working from home and I'm one of the first groups out because of my age to work from home. And then from that, I was able to get into the existing company I'm with, work from home. God maneuvering. No washer and dryer was able to discover pickup of my laundry for me, grocery delivery for me during the height of the pandemic, up until the vaccines happened. And I look back and the unctioning I had at that truck get back home to Phoenix to set me up for this time that we're in right now. It is no doubt in my mind that God is moving. As I told a friend of mine, it's like God came in and wrote his name on my wall. I won't even talk about going over during this, before the pandemic, when I had an associate who was trying to come back here to Arizona and had come to the racist, wretched trucking company. I didn't know where it was at the time until she got here, then it really unfolded. And we went to get some soup over here at a pho place. And how that whole thing that happened, we were sitting in my friend's car. We were talking, and it was weird because normally we'd be having this conversation, going to a restaurant. We get into the restaurant and there was a shift. Next thing I know, they couldn't sit us, so then they moved us we were to the front, then we moved to the back. Before I knew it, by the time we sat down next to a lady who began to dialogue with me. And it looked like she was battling cancer. She said, love your curves, because I'm a big girl. And she said, I used to be a curvy girl. And she said, every day I go to the doctor, it's bad news. And before I knew it, I'm speaking blessings into this life that is probably going to be leaving. Because God sets up things. So I don't know, and prayerfully this video is meant to do that right now, is to wake you up. There's more coming. If you as a person got animals, whatever you got going on, I want a dog, I want a Cocker Spaniel bad. But I'm also realizing right now, I've got friends of mine telling me they're having a hard time getting dog food for their dogs. Dog food, well, I used to deliver food, and I know that the leftover meats and stuff from some of the chicken plants, they go to a dog food plant to make the feed. God bless what's in dog food. I'm just going to say that. And I can see that now. Because they say in supply chain issues, I don't know. I don't know. I just find that a lot of stuff is curious. I'm curious of the hiccup in the supply chain. And now curious that in a country that is huge for fertilizer is under a war. I find it curious that countries such as China told their people to start stocking food. Y'all can go research that. That's in other newspapers. But like I said, make sure you follow stuff outside of your state, outside of the U.S. We're so self-centered about us, we don't see the global impact of things. I think it was Germany who also told, was it Germany? It was one of them that told their people to stock food. They didn't tell them to be like hoarders, but they said do stock food. in case of any issues. That's kind of curious that before all this happened, China tells their people to stock. And then all of a sudden, Germany tells their people to stock. We the only country who told folks that. Oh, everything's okay. Everything's wonderful. Probably because Americans are so self-centered, we would do that crazy stuff with the toilet paper, the rice, and the beans that we did at the start of the pandemic. Because we're greedy and self-centered, so it's all about us and we give a ding about our neighbor. That's why when I go shopping, I don't take the last can. If there's 2 cans, I'm going to leave 1. If I'm buying canned goods and there's 5 cans, if I can buy 2 or 3, that's what I'm going to buy. But I'm going to leave something on the shelf for somebody else. Get your house in order on this side. I don't know how long we have to exist in what's called the birth pains. That's what this time is that we're in this season. Before we believe in what's going to be something very miraculous that's going to happen called a rapture. I know people think we probably crazy as a box of rocks, but again, to me, that's no crazier than folks who believe that some goo came together and made mankind. Or no crazier than some Christians that believe in a God that spoke us into being. Because surely I believe there has to be something bigger than us. We sit on a planet that spins on an invisible axis. We breathe air that we do not see. We just know that it's there. We say the wind is blowing, but we don't know where it comes from and where it goes. The nature of human birth is miraculous, even with us understanding the science behind it. The Bible tells us, look at the birds of the field. They don't even have to worry. They can go out there and pick food and eat. So how much greater are we? So if he's giving you the wisdom to do some things to prepare you for the season, prepare. Joseph. Go read the story of Joseph. Read about his ratchet brothers who threw him in the pit because they were jealous of him. He was sold into slavery to later become the second right-hand man of Pharaoh and saved the world from a massive famine. But also realize what famine does. There were people who were very wealthy. You think money's going to solve all your situations? Good luck with that. Because when you can't eat, people will trade away land. Folks were trading away land for grain just to eat. Y'all better follow the bouncing ball. Anyway, y'all, I'm going to get off of here. I hope this blessed somebody. Please share it out. Like, thumbs up. Right now they have a chat on here, but in the comment sections, after this closes out, put comments. It helps the channel. Give us a thumbs up. It helps me. I'm not making a ton of money off this, but if it gives a little change back, it blesses me. Guys, 2 and 2, be blessed. Peace.